Hey there, True Crime Podcast fans. It's Patrick and Jillian from True Crime Obsessed.
Each week on TCO, we recap a true crime documentary everyone's talking about, and we do it with heart, sass, and just the right amount of humor.
So if you like the kind of podcast where two good friends chat about a case in a thoughtful way that centers the victims, you really gotta check us out.
Yeah, we cover the well-known cases that you hear about in the news and the underreported cases that desperately need more attention.
For almost 9 years, we've been one of the most popular true crime podcasts out there.
We have over 30,000 five-star reviews on Apple Podcasts, and our brand new YouTube channel has over 50,000 subscribers watching our full-length video episodes too.
So find and subscribe True Crime Obsessed wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi friends, it's LeRon Barton from LeRonBarton.com. I'm guest hosting this episode of Broken Cycle Media's new series of educational episodes, Data Points. These special episodes will include educational information, statistics, and support on different topics that are important to our community. Thank you so much for listening. Before we begin, it's important to understand what constitutes sexual abuse and assault. Psychology Today defines sexual abuse as, quote, any sexual activity that occurs without consent. Also referred to as sexual assault or violence, it includes unwanted sexual touching, forced oral sex, rape, among other sexual acts. When the terms sexual abuse and sexual assault are mentioned, it is the societal norm to instinctively think of women as the typical victims of these crimes. Relatedly, the National Sexual Violence Resource Center reports that in the United States, nearly 52 million women will experience some form of sexual violence in their lifetime, with 1 in 5 women reporting attempted or completed rape. And although the U.S. Department of Justice reports men perpetrate 99% of sexual violence, this does not exclude men from being victims. Sexual violence can and does often happen to men as well, despite a frequent lack of representation in statistics. There's a common notion that men cannot be victims of rape or sexual assault, but I'm here to tell you that is far from the truth. Today's Data Point episode, we will break down statistics of juvenile and adult male victims of sexual assault, the public perception behind it, the repercussion of trauma endured, and how we can help those who have been impacted by it. 1 in 6, an organization that is dedicated to addressing the trauma that men and boys have after sexual assault, reports that 1 in 6 boys and men experience abuse or assault in their lives. While many may bristle at this number, 1 in 6 argues that the number could be even more if we count non-contact experiences. Sadly, the number of male victims of sexual assault and abuse could be greater because of factors like unreported events, delayed reporting, or even the inability to report due to a lack of resources. This is confirmed by the National Sexual Violence Resource Center statistic. Only 43% of men report being a victim of sexual assault and harassment. There's not one type of perpetrator of sexual assault against boys and men. They come from all walks of life. Whether that be gender, age, ethnicity, or background, it is important to note that according to the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network, otherwise known as RAINN, 93% of juvenile victims know the perpetrator of their sexual abuse. Of the 93% of known abusers, 59% were acquaintances and 34% were family members. However, as the U.S. Veterans Affairs highlights, boys are more likely to be sexually abused by strangers or authority figures than girls are. Still, the portrayal and understanding of sexual assault against males is largely misunderstood and at times even denied. As RAINN explains, quote, men and boys who have been sexually assaulted or abused may have many of the same feelings and reactions as other survivors of sexual assault, but they may also face some additional challenges because of social attitudes and stereotypes about men and masculinity. RAINN goes on to explain that those committing sexual abuse against males often utilize these stereotypes and misconceptions as a means of silencing their victims. It's important to break down those stigmas because the ramifications and trauma that come after sexual assault can have grave impact on its victims. RAINN lists the following reactions boys and men face when sexually abused: anxiety, depression, flashbacks, and post-traumatic stress disorder. Victims can also exhibit avoidance of places and people that remind them of the event. Victims may also experience fear of the worst happening or having a sense of a shortened future. Victims often feel a sense of responsibility or shame, and many worry about disclosing due to fear of judgment or disbelief. As masculinity is often societally associated with strength, stoicism, and self-reliance, victims are often left feeling with a heightened sense of powerlessness. The societal stigma encompassing the sexual abuse of males can contribute to and exacerbate the shame victims often feel, making it hard for boys and men to identify, report, and heal from their abuse. In fact, according to a report published on the Montana Legislature website, the average age a victim reports child sexual abuse is 52, which is called delayed disclosure. We, as men, are socialized to be physically strong, tough, and able to protect ourselves and our loved ones. So when men are victims of sexual assault, many of us can feel like we are weak and powerless. The effects of sexual assault on men's mental health can be severe and can permeate every aspect of a victim's life. Psychology Today writes, males experience an increased sense of vulnerability, anger, and irritability, and damaged self-image, concluding that the immediate and long-term responses were similar to those described in female victims of rape, contradicting the myth sexual abuse and assault is less harmful to males than females. Clinical Social Work Journal, a peer-reviewed journal that focuses on social work and mental health, published Breaking with Norms of Masculinity: Men Making Sense of Their Experience of Sexual Assault. In the 2019 piece, Charlotte C. Peterson and Lars Planton describe some of the behavior boys and men may participate in after the abuse. Studies suggest that male victims are more likely than female victims to express anger and hostility and to withdraw from social interaction. The report also notes men also run a higher risk of abusing alcohol and other substances as a way to try to cope with or suppress difficult memories. Finally, the piece explains men who are sexual assault victims may embrace an aggressive masculinity by overemphasizing masculine attributes, for example, by displaying hyperactive, hypersexual, over-controlling, aggressive, violent behavior. Furthermore, as a Mayo Medical School study reports, sexual abuse is associated with an increased risk of a lifetime diagnosis of several mental health disorders, including, but not limited to, post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety disorder, depression, eating disorders, and sleep disorders. If you believe you or a loved one are a victim of sexual abuse or assault, here are suggestions on how to help. Listen. If someone in your life has been sexually assaulted, please listen without intruding questions or judgment. Consider seeing a mental health professional or a therapist. PTSD.org suggests, quote, men who have been assaulted often feel stigmatized, which can be the most damaging aspect. It is important for men to discuss the assault with a caring, unbiased person. There are mental health professionals that specialize in treating men that have experienced sexual abuse. Speaking to a trained professional can often offer targeted, educated support. The Mental Health Treatment Locator can help you in finding a therapist. Consider reaching out to the National Sexual Assault Hotline, or RAIN. If you or a loved one has been a victim of sexual assault, the National Sexual Assault Hotline is a great resource. The number is 1-800-656-4763 to be connected. Also, visit online.rain.org to chat anonymously and confidentially to a professional that is trained in dealing with sexual assault. Lastly, know you or your loved ones are not alone. When a male has been sexually assaulted, many of them turn inward and do not discuss the event. As stated before, 1 in 6 men have been victims of sexual assault. If a friend, family member, colleague, or loved one has experienced this, tell them they are not alone and do not have to face this by themselves. For more information about the nonprofit organizations mentioned prior, as well as a more comprehensive list of organizations that are working to help male sexual assault and abuse survivors, please visit www.msassurance.org. somethingwaswrong.com/resources. Many of the fantastic groups listed on the website are only able to exist because of the community's help and support from people like you. If you would like to find out more information about volunteer opportunities, please feel free to visit the resources page and reach out directly to the organization of your choice. I'm LeRon Barton, and you can find me at www.leronbarton.com. Thank you so much for listening and learning with us.
Hey there, True Crime Podcast fans. It's Patrick and Jillian from True Crime Obsessed.
Each week on TCO, we recap a true crime documentary everyone's talking about, and we do it with heart, sass, and just the right amount of humor.
So if you like the kind of podcast where two good friends chat about a case in a thoughtful way that centers the victims, you really got to check us out.
Yeah, we cover the well-known cases that you hear about in the news and the underreported cases that desperately need more attention.
For almost 9 years, we've been one of the most popular true crime podcasts out there.
We have over 30,000 five-star reviews on Apple Podcasts, and our brand new YouTube channel has over 50,000 subscribers watching our full-length video episodes too.
So find and subscribe True Crime Obsessed wherever you get your podcasts.